And one thing I'd like to get your perspective on is, would you, some people say that higher income increases net worth. Would you say this is true or false?
Okay, so higher income makes it easier to increase your net worth. That's what it does. But unfortunately, most people, when they get a salary increase or their business does well, they buy more liabilities. And how you judge net worth is assets versus liabilities. So, regardless of what I'm earning, if I keep on buying liabilities, then I'm actually not increasing my net worth. So it tends to be false for a lot of people because that higher income is not driven to increasing assets, which would then actually increase their net worth. So I think we live in a dispensation where we're chasing that higher salary bracket. And sometimes your tax bracket will then take you down a notch. But anyways, that's another conversation. So we're chasing the higher income, not realizing that then with this income, we then supposed to build assets and we're supposed to chase assets. And that's why I think a lot of people, there was a study done which showed that people that actually earn quite a bit are usually in more debt, therefore less net worth than people that don't earn much. Because as your higher income, as your income increases, you're allowed more access to debt and more toys to buy.
Yes, I agree. That's generally true. People will get a pay rise and then all of a sudden start to spend more money, or they'll come into some money through whatever it is, whether it's a gift from family, and then they'll go on a nice holiday or buy a new car instead of investing in, say, property or investing in, something that would create some type of income, whether it's passive income or not. So yeah, I
Right.
agree. Another often quoted statement is, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. Would you say this is true or false? I have my own kind of thoughts on this, but I'd like to get your thoughts on it as well.
Okay, so this one is interesting. It's really accepted by most people in the world, and I ask a rebuttal question that okay, so higher the risk, the higher the reward. If you know what you are doing, are you not more likely to succeed in what you're doing? Therefore, that means decreasing your risk, but increasing your likelihood of succeeding at it. So it's about, do you know what you are doing? If I'm an excellent driver, then I have decreased my risk of having an accident, and I've increased my reward of getting there safely or getting there on time, etc., etc. So I think higher risk equals higher reward only holds if you don't know what you are doing, because then you kind of just hoping. But the more you craft your skill, so let's say your skill is in business, the more you craft your skills, the less risk you take when you go into deals, but the higher reward you get because you know how to negotiate, you've seen certain things before, there's a lot that you know. So higher risk equals higher reward if you don't know what you're doing. And one of the biggest risks that I'd say that 95% of the people in the world take is, in terms of money, is they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing, and then just hope that the driver or the vehicle or life will just kind of work out. And that is the highest risk you can take financially. I mean, maybe back in our grandmother's day, the platforms were very simple. It was a simpler life. It was a simpler stage. But this day and age, you kind of also need to drive your money. You need to be a steward of your money. You can no longer be in the back seat and just hoping that things will be okay. That is the highest risk you can take these days.
That makes 100% total sense. So, I've followed a lot of your teachings and your kind of literature through the years. And one statement that you've made, which I'd like you to kind of elaborate or clarify, is that you say that money is the new cattle. Could you kind of discuss that a bit further, expand on it?
Okay, so money is the new cattle because if you think of African culture and various cultures, actually, it's not just an African phenomena, though we held cattle in high esteem. Cattle was important. Cattle was the measure of a family. Cattle was your wealth. And we had a beautiful relationship with cattle. I mean, when I would visit my grandmother in our family farm, I used to, okay, I was supported. I didn't do it alone because they probably would have ran into the bushes or something. But I also held the whip. I was like, hey, I'm moving the cows, you know? And so you knew when the cow would wake up, you had to take the cow to a place called Edipini. I'm not sure, at the deep. I'm not sure if it makes sense to people that are not in South Africa, but you have to take the cow there, and then the cow had to bathe and eat. And so you grew up knowing what a cow needs, how to take care of it, etc., etc. Even if you didn't really have cows, and I mean, at the time I was a kid, so I didn't have cows yet, but you knew the what a cow likes, how to hurt the cow, how to move the cow, etc., etc. You know how to protect the cows. You knew all of that. And then when we'd slaughter and have have rituals, not really rituals, but English fails me right now. Okay, let's just call it a ritual, like not like you're praying, but you're just doing a ceremony. Yes, you're having a ceremony. Even as a kid, you would know that this part of the meat is for old men, this part of the meat is for old women, this part of the meat is for the married woman. So you knew a lot of stuff about a cow as just an African kid growing up. And that didn't mean that you no longer believe in your spirituality. It's not that the cow then challenged the divine. It was just that you knew in your societal construct that the cow was a very important part of society. So now money is kind of like what represents the cattle. But where we have got a bit of a chasm as Africans is that we don't have a similar relationship with money as we did with cattle. The average person doesn't really know how money works. The average kid is not given an allowance and told to manage this and budget this and function with this so that by the time they grow up, they are an expert or they are able to handle money as when I grew up, then I know how to handle a cow. You know, so I'm saying that we need to translate that importance and that esteem and that teaching and that everyone in the community understanding cattle to money, because money is the new cattle today. And also something important about cattle is that it's a full-on asset. It's a full-on asset that also did compound interest. When it would give birth to the calf, that represents compound interest. So when you're investing, not to say that everyone must buy cattle, but you look at things that can work similar to how a cattle would work. And that's why I say that money is the new cattle. And that's the relationship we should have with it today.
That's amazing, fantastic. I like the comparison or the analogy. It's very fitting in terms of a African context. No, no,